What if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side on Mars? This was the question Oprah Winfrey posed to her audience one evening, her voice a mix of curiosity and skepticism. The stage lights dimmed as the live studio audience leaned in, waiting to see how Elon Musk might respond. It was a question that echoed the doubts many Americans had about Musk's audacious plan to colonize the Red Planet. The concept of sending humans to Mars was no longer just science fiction, but a near-future possibility, championed by the billionaire entrepreneur behind SpaceX. Yet, Oprah was not convinced. She questioned not only the feasibility of such a mission but also the wisdom of risking lives in a venture so fraught with unknowns. What if everything you worked for just vanished in the vastness of space? What if no one was there to catch you when you fell? She challenged the crowd. The atmosphere was electric, charged with a mix of intrigue and tension. Elon Musk sat across from Oprah, his expression unreadable but his eyes sharp, as if weighing every word before responding. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Oprah urged the viewers, breaking the fourth wall and inviting them into the conversation. The question was more than rhetorical, it was an invitation to confront fear, ambition, and the human spirit's resilience. The story behind that question was complex, shaped by two figures who had become icons in their own right, Oprah Winfrey, a media mogul who built an empire from the ashes of hardship, and Elon Musk, a visionary whose dreams stretched beyond Earth's atmosphere. On the surface, their encounter seemed like a clash, Oprah's grounded pragmatism versus Elon's starry-eyed optimism, but beneath that was a deeper dialogue about courage and the cost of progress. As the interview progressed, Oprah's tone shifted from mocking to probing. She pressed Elon on the practicalities, the technology, the psychological toll on astronauts, the social isolation. You're talking about sending people to a planet that's millions of miles away, with no way back if things go wrong, she said. How do you prepare someone for that kind of loneliness? Elon's response was measured yet passionate. He spoke of Mars not as a vacation destination but as humanity's next step, a place where the survival of our species might one day depend. Mars is harsh, no doubt, he admitted, but it's also an opportunity for a fresh start. If we can build a self-sustaining colony there, it means we're no longer bound by Earth's limitations. The audience watched, caught between skepticism and fascination. Some saw a madman chasing impossible dreams, others glimpsed a pioneer pushing humanity forward. The tension in the studio was palpable, a reflection of the public's divided feelings. Oprah's questioning wasn't just for show, it stemmed from a place of genuine concern. She knew her audience well, many of whom struggled with their own challenges and fears. To them, Musk's Mars plan might seem like an escape fantasy or a reckless gamble. Yet, as the discussion unfolded, there was a moment of unexpected vulnerability. Elon spoke about the loneliness he felt as a leader, the nights spent wondering if his vision was worth the personal sacrifices. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who truly believes, he confessed, but then I remember why it matters, to ensure a future where humanity can thrive. That honesty struck a chord, softening the earlier mockery. Oprah's gaze softened, and for a brief moment, the two icons found common ground in their shared experience of carrying heavy dreams under the public eye. The studio audience broke into applause, not just for the spectacle but for the humanity laid bare between the questions and answers. Behind the scenes, producers buzzed with excitement, knowing they had captured a moment that would ignite conversations nationwide. Social media erupted, with viewers debating fiercely about the risks and rewards of Mars colonization. Some praised Oprah for holding Elon accountable, others applauded Elon's unwavering vision. The episode went viral, bringing unprecedented attention to the Mars mission and the complex dynamics between these two powerful voices. The story had only just begun, but that night planted a seed of curiosity and tension that would grow into a saga of ambition, conflict, and unexpected alliances. As the camera panned out, Oprah looked directly into the lens once more. Remember to hit subscribe and leave your thoughts below. Where are you watching from? This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Her words lingered, an invitation to every viewer to reflect on their own resilience as they watched this unfolding drama between a woman who had mastered the art of connection and a man daring to reach beyond the stars. And so, with a question hanging in the air and millions watching, the journey toward Mars, and the truth behind the plan, was set in motion. The early dreams Elon Musk's story began far from the bright lights of Hollywood or the bustling streets of Silicon Valley. Born in Pretoria, South Africa, Elon was a boy who found solace not in sports or socializing but in books and computers. His childhood was marked by solitude and curiosity, a sharp contrast to the extroverted media personality Oprah Winfrey would later become. Elon's father was an engineer, and from him, Elon inherited a passion for mechanics and technology, but his early years were anything but easy. At school, he was often bullied and felt like an outsider. The computers he discovered at an early age became his refuge. At just 12 years old, he coded and sold a video game called Blaster, showcasing the brilliance and determination that would define his future. Meanwhile, Oprah was growing up thousands of miles away in rural Mississippi, facing her own set of challenges. Born into poverty and enduring traumatic experiences in her childhood, Oprah's resilience was forged in hardship. Her ability to connect with people, to tell stories that touched the soul, was born from a lifetime of overcoming pain. The parallels between these two figures are striking. Both came from difficult beginnings but harbored ambitions that would shake the world. Elon's dream was always larger than Earth. He wanted to create a future where humanity was not confined by a single planet. This vision grew out of his fascination with space and a deep-seated fear that humanity's survival depended on becoming a multiplanetary species. By the time Elon moved to America to attend the University of Pennsylvania, his mind was already racing ahead to ideas that many dismissed as science fiction. His first companies, Zip2 and X.com, which became PayPal, were stepping stones. Each success was built on sleepless nights and relentless problem-solving. But the path was not smooth. Elon's relentless drive came at a cost: strained relationships, personal sacrifices, and moments of self-doubt. Oprah, on the other hand, was building a media empire. From a teenage radio host to a nationally syndicated talk show host, she cultivated a voice that resonated deeply with the American public. Her ability to inspire and challenge was unmatched, making her one of the most influential women in the world. Both Elon and Oprah understood the power of storytelling, he through visionary ideas about the future, she through connecting with the human experience. Yet, their worlds rarely intersected until that fateful evening when Oprah confronted Elon's Mars mission on her show. Behind the scenes, Elon's emotional foundation was complex. The boy who had faced bullying and isolation now faced a different kind of loneliness, being misunderstood and often criticized for his bold visions. His relentless pursuit of Mars was not just about technology or money, it was a personal mission to prove that the impossible was achievable. Oprah's journey, meanwhile, was rooted in empathy and connection. Her early struggles taught her the importance of hope and the transformative power of love and community. When she questioned Elon's plan, it was from a place of concern for humanity's vulnerabilities and the harsh realities people face every day. The contrast between their childhoods and motivations created an electric tension during their interview. As Elon talked about rockets and colonization, Oprah reminded viewers of the human cost, mental health challenges, family sacrifices, and the unknown dangers of space travel. This emotional undercurrent was crucial in making their exchange more than a clash of egos. It was a dialogue about what it means to dream big while grappling with the fragility of human life. The backstory also revealed the influence of important relationships in their lives. Elon's complicated relationship with his father shaped much of his emotional landscape. Though his father introduced him to engineering, their personal bond was distant and sometimes fraught with tension. Elon's marriages and friendships also reflected his struggle to balance ambition with connection. Oprah's close bonds with mentors, friends, and family gave her strength and perspective. These relationships grounded her even as she soared to unprecedented heights in her career. As viewers learned about these histories, their attachment to the characters deepened. Elon was no longer just a billionaire entrepreneur, he was a man wrestling with his past and the weight of his dreams. Oprah was not just a talk show host, she was a woman shaped by hardship who refused to let anyone's illusions blind her to reality. Their personal stories set the stage for the conflicts and alliances to come. The early Dreams chapter painted vivid pictures, Elon coding alone in a dimly lit room, the hum of old computers his only company. Oprah delivering a powerful speech to a crowd, her voice steady despite the tears behind her eyes. These images helped the audience feel as if they were witnessing a movie, where every detail mattered, the chill of a South African winter, the scent of a Mississippi summer, the quiet determination etched on a young man's face. At the same time, the chapter hinted at the emotional storms brewing beneath the surface. Elon's fears of failure and isolation contrasted with Oprah's fears of naivety and risk. Their paths would cross again and again, each encounter peeling back layers of misunderstanding and revealing deeper truths. This chapter ended on a note of anticipation. The audience was invited to watch these two titans navigate the challenges ahead, their personal histories shaping every decision. The seeds of conflict and collaboration had been planted, promising a story full of tension, hope, and profound discovery. Just as Elon's childhood curiosity led him to imagine life beyond Earth, Oprah's early struggles made her question the price of dreams. Together, their stories would explore the delicate balance between ambition and humanity. What drives someone to risk it all? How do past wounds influence future choices? And when two worlds collide, can they find common ground? As the chapter closed, the reader was left with a powerful message: our beginnings do not define us, but they shape the journeys we take. In the next chapter, those journeys would take a dramatic turn as the clash between Oprah's skepticism and Elon's vision escalated, setting the stage for a conflict that would captivate a nation. A clash of titans. The tension between Oprah Winfrey and Elon Musk escalated quickly after their initial interview aired. The media dubbed it the showdown of the century, a battle between two powerful figures with wildly different visions of the future. Oprah, with her trademark blend of skepticism and wit, had publicly questioned the feasibility and wisdom of Elon's Mars colonization plan. Elon, never one to back down from a challenge, felt the sting of her mockery but was determined to respond on his own terms. The story quickly became a national conversation. Headlines shouted about the Mars mission controversy, and social media exploded with supporters and critics on both sides. For many Americans, the idea of living on another planet was thrilling but also frightening, an impossible dream or a reckless gamble. The clash was more than a simple disagreement, it symbolized a broader cultural divide. Oprah represented practicality, grounded in decades of experience dealing with real-world struggles, while Elon embodied a futuristic optimism that some viewed as naive. Their debate tapped into deep questions: should humanity risk everything for exploration? Or should it focus on solving Earth's problems first? In the weeks following the interview, Oprah ramped up her critique. On her show, she invited scientists, psychologists, and former astronauts to discuss the psychological and physical dangers of long-term space travel. These experts painted a grim picture: isolation, mental breakdowns, radiation exposure, and the loneliness of leaving Earth forever. Oprah asked her guests tough questions, pushing the narrative that Elon's dream might be too dangerous, too disconnected from reality. Elon's response was strategic. He held a press conference, rallying his team and supporters, emphasizing the importance of pushing boundaries. Every great leap in history seemed impossible at first, he said. The Wright brothers were mocked, and the first moon landing was doubted. Mars is the next step. His supporters, from engineers to young space enthusiasts, rallied online and offline. Elon's social media channels buzzed with messages of encouragement. The hope phase of this conflict emerged as fans organized events, started petitions, and raised awareness about the potential benefits of Mars colonization, from scientific breakthroughs to inspiring future generations. Yet the conflict was far from over. The climax returned when a major news outlet published an exposé questioning the funding sources for SpaceX's Mars program, suggesting political favoritism and corporate overreach. Suddenly, Elon faced accusations of mismanagement and putting profits over safety. Oprah seized the moment to demand accountability. "If we're going to gamble with lives, the public deserves transparency," she said during a live broadcast. The public's faith wavered. Some began to doubt Elon's motives, while others defended him fiercely, arguing that groundbreaking innovation always meets resistance. This alternating cycle of tension and hope played out in public forums, talk shows, and online debates. The story became a roller coaster of emotions for everyone involved. Elon, despite the pressure, remained focused on his vision. But behind the scenes, the strain was palpable. His team worked around the clock, facing setbacks and technical challenges. The media scrutiny added another layer of difficulty, magnifying every mistake. Oprah, too, felt the weight of her role. She was aware that her words carried influence and that her skepticism might discourage hope in some, but she believed the public deserved honest discourse. Their personal lives began to intersect with the public drama. Elon's private emails were leaked, revealing his frustration with the constant negativity. Oprah's producers received anonymous tips about Elon's personal sacrifices, nights without sleep, broken relationships, and a relentless drive that bordered on obsession. These revelations humanized both figures, showing the costs of their public personas. The clash was no longer just about Mars, it was about two very different ways of confronting the future. Oprah's grounded pragmatism sought to protect humanity from reckless risks, while Elon's bold optimism challenged everyone to imagine what was possible. The American public was caught in the middle, drawn to the drama and the larger questions it raised. This chapter's vivid scenes captured the chaotic energy of the debate: crowded newsrooms, heated interviews, passionate protests outside SpaceX headquarters, and quiet moments of doubt in Elon's office late at night. The tension between conflict and hope kept audiences hooked, mirroring the emotional peaks and valleys of a gripping drama. As the story unfolded, unexpected alliances began to form. Some scientists who had initially sided with Oprah found themselves intrigued by new SpaceX innovations. Meanwhile, some of Elon's staunchest supporters acknowledged the need for greater transparency and caution. The clash was evolving from confrontation to conversation. By the end of this chapter, both Oprah and Elon were forced to reflect on their roles in shaping public perception. The story was no longer about winners or losers but about finding a path forward through disagreement and complexity. The audience was left eager to see how this evolving relationship would influence the future of space exploration and the broader cultural conversation about risk, ambition, and human potential. The clash of titans was far from over, but it had opened the door to deeper understanding and unexpected growth. What began as mockery had become a catalyst for dialogue, challenging everyone to reconsider what it means to dream, and what it takes to make those dreams real. The climactic journey, the conflict between Oprah and Elon, which had captured the nation's attention, soon took an unexpected turn as Elon Musk announced a groundbreaking new phase in his Mars colonization plan. No longer just a dream or a distant future idea, SpaceX unveiled the Starship mission, a spacecraft designed to carry hundreds of people to Mars, with the first crewed launch scheduled within 5 years. The announcement sent shockwaves through the media and scientific communities alike. It was one thing to talk about Mars, it was another to commit millions of dollars, years of research, and human lives to the mission. Oprah, true to her role as the voice of the people, demanded a seat at the table. She proposed a special documentary series that would follow the lives of the astronauts training for the mission, the engineers building the spacecraft, and Elon himself as he navigated this monumental journey. If we're going to understand this, we need to see the human side, she argued. Elon agreed, surprising many. He recognized that transparency could help build trust and that Oprah's storytelling expertise could humanize a project often lost in technical jargon. Cameras began rolling, capturing every breakthrough and setback. The series revealed a world of intense preparation. Astronaut candidates endured grueling physical and psychological tests, simulating the harsh environment of space and Mars. Engineers worked around the clock, tweaking designs, and solving problems that seemed insurmountable. Elon's leadership was on full display, his visionary drive inspiring the team but also creating tension as deadlines loomed and failures mounted. The journey was not without its crises. Early test flights of the Starship ended in spectacular explosions, moments broadcast live and dissected by critics and fans alike. Each failure was a gut punch but also a learning opportunity. Elon's famous mantra, "Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough," echoed through the halls of SpaceX. Meanwhile, Oprah's cameras captured the emotional toll. One astronaut candidate broke down during a psychological evaluation, confessing fears about never seeing Earth again. An engineer faced a family crisis but refused to leave the project. Elon himself was shown in moments of rare vulnerability, questioning if the mission's risks outweighed the potential rewards. This vivid, behind-the-scenes look made the story feel like an epic adventure full of hardship, passion, and hope. The narrative wove together detailed descriptions of the SpaceX facilities, the vast rocket assembly hangars gleaming under harsh industrial lights, the smell of fuel and metal, the palpable hum of cutting-edge technology in motion. Scenes shifted from the claustrophobic training simulators to the vastness of the open desert where test launches took place, creating a cinematic contrast that heightened the drama. As the launch date approached, the public's interest reached a fever pitch. Oprah hosted live broadcasts, interviews with the crew, and panel discussions with experts weighing the mission's risks and rewards. The country watched as the spacecraft was fueled, inspected, and prepared for its historic journey. The emotional climax of this chapter came during a dramatic pre-launch press conference. Elon stood before the world, a figure both larger than life and deeply human. He spoke about the importance of hope, resilience, and the human spirit's capacity to overcome the impossible. Oprah's questions were probing but respectful, emphasizing the balance between ambition and caution. When asked if he feared losing crew members, Elon paused, his eyes steady. "Yes, it's the greatest risk," he admitted. "But doing nothing is a greater risk to humanity's future." The moment was electric, charged with tension and hope. The world held its breath as the countdown began. The story captured the complex emotions swirling around the mission: fear, excitement, doubt, and determination. It was not just a scientific endeavor but a profound human journey, full of dreams and sacrifices. This chapter's vivid descriptions of the launch sequence, the fiery roar of the engines, the trembling ground, the ascending rocket piercing the sky, immersed the audience in the moment. The successful liftoff was a triumphant climax, but the journey had only just begun. As the Starship soared beyond the atmosphere, Elon and Oprah's partnership deepened. The series would follow the mission in real time, bringing viewers closer than ever to the challenges of space travel. This climactic journey marked a turning point in the story, shifting it from conflict to collaboration and from skepticism to cautious optimism. It raised new questions about humanity's place in the cosmos and the price we pay for progress. What sacrifices would be made? Could this mission succeed where others had failed? And what would it mean for those left behind on Earth? The chapter ended on a hopeful yet uncertain note. The journey to Mars was no longer a distant dream but a vivid reality, full of promise and peril. The audience was invited to join the mission, not just as spectators but as participants in a historic moment that could redefine humanity's future. The emotional and dramatic stakes were higher than ever, setting the stage for the next phase of this extraordinary story. Emotional climax: the journey to Mars was no longer just a distant dream or a media spectacle, it had become a deeply personal and emotional experience for everyone involved. As the Starship cruised through space, millions of viewers across the globe followed the mission in real time, glued to their screens by a mix of wonder and anxiety. The emotional climax unfolded gradually, building to a crescendo that neither Oprah Winfrey nor Elon Musk could have fully anticipated. Early into the voyage, unexpected challenges surfaced. A micrometeoroid strike caused minor damage to the spacecraft's hull, triggering alarms and forcing the crew into emergency protocols. The tension on board was palpable. Cameras captured the astronauts' faces, grim, focused, but betraying undercurrents of fear. Back on Earth, Oprah's coverage became more urgent and personal. Her commentary shifted from broad questions about the mission's feasibility to intimate conversations with the families of crew members. Viewers heard tearful goodbyes, hopes, and prayers, adding a human layer to the cold facts of space travel. Elon himself was visibly affected. Though known for his stoic public persona, footage revealed him alone in a conference room late at night, his hands running through his hair as he processed the gravity of what was unfolding. The crew's resilience inspired the world, but the situation remained precarious. Then came the heart-wrenching moment that defined this chapter. During a routine communication blackout, the crew lost contact with Earth for nearly 24 hours. The silence was deafening. Speculation and fear spread rapidly. Was there a catastrophic failure? Were the astronauts safe? Oprah appeared on live television, her voice steady but her eyes glistening. She reminded viewers that space exploration had always involved risks and that hope must be balanced with reality. Meanwhile, Elon coordinated with Mission Control, his leadership tested as he navigated both technical obstacles and emotional turbulence. The communication was restored just before the public's hope began to wane. The crew's first words back were a message of reassurance and determination. The relief was overwhelming, cheers erupted worldwide, tears flowed freely, and a renewed sense of collective purpose emerged. But the emotional climax was far from over. As the crew approached Mars, another challenge surfaced, the psychological strain of isolation and the looming uncertainty of survival. One astronaut confided in the documentary cameras, "It's not the cold or the distance. It's the silence. The thought that you might never see your family again." Oprah addressed these fears openly in her broadcasts, fostering empathy and a broader conversation about mental health in extreme conditions. The narrative alternated between moments of despair and hope, capturing the rawness of human emotion. Elon's reaction to these revelations was profound. In a rare interview, he spoke candidly about his own struggles with loneliness and pressure, connecting his personal experiences to the mission's stakes. "This journey is bigger than any one of us," he said. "It's about what humanity can endure and achieve together." The emotional tension peaked when the Starship landed on Mars, a historic first that was met with jubilation and awe. Yet even in triumph, the reality of their isolation hit hard. The crew sent back messages describing the alien landscape, harsh, beautiful, and unforgiving. Oprah's documentary highlighted the stark contrast between Earth's warmth and Mars's barren cold, underscoring the sacrifice involved. This chapter's detailed descriptions brought the Martian environment to life, the rusty red dust swirling in low gravity, the endless horizons under a pale sun, the cramped quarters of the habitat module. The emotional weight was palpable. As the crew began their mission on the surface, unforeseen difficulties arose, equipment malfunctions, limited supplies, and the mental toll of confinement. Tensions flared among the astronauts, revealing cracks in their camaraderie and raising doubts about the mission's viability. Oprah's cameras captured raw, unscripted moments, arguments, tears, and reconciliations, that humanized these space pioneers. Elon watched from Mission Control, grappling with the balance between pushing forward and protecting his crew. The emotional climax came when one astronaut suffered a serious medical emergency. The crew faced a wrenching decision: attempt a risky emergency procedure on Mars or wait for Earth-based help that might never arrive in time. The dilemma was heartbreaking, symbolizing the ultimate test of human endurance and ethical responsibility. The story reached its highest emotional pitch as viewers around the world held their breath. Oprah's coverage was filled with compassion and solemnity, honoring the bravery of all involved. Elon's public statements reflected a mixture of hope and sorrow, acknowledging the harsh realities of exploration. Yet even in this darkest hour, a glimmer of hope persisted. The emergency procedure succeeded, thanks to the crew's training and quick thinking, sparking jubilation and relief. The mission continued, but the emotional scars lingered. This chapter's strength lay in its ability to show the full spectrum of human emotion: fear, hope, grief, and joy, woven into a narrative that was both epic and deeply personal. It challenged the audience to consider not just the technical achievements but the psychological and moral complexities of venturing into the unknown. The emotional climax also marked a turning point for Oprah and Elon's relationship. Their earlier clashes gave way to mutual respect and a shared sense of purpose. Oprah's empathy and storytelling brought humanity to Elon's vision, while Elon's courage and determination inspired Oprah's belief in the power of dreams. Together, they became unlikely partners in telling a story that transcended space travel. It was a story about resilience, sacrifice, and the enduring human spirit. As this chapter closed, the audience was left with a profound message. Exploration is not just about conquering new frontiers but about confronting our deepest fears and discovering what truly connects us as human beings. The emotional journey of the Mars mission illuminated the fragile beauty of life and the limitless capacity for hope, even in the face of overwhelming odds. The story was far from over, but the emotional climax had shifted the narrative into a new realm, one where hope and hardship coexisted, forging a path toward resolution and reflection. Resolution and reflection. After months of suspense, struggle, and triumph, the Mars mission finally began to move toward a resolution that few had dared to imagine at the start. The initial wave of shock and uncertainty gave way to profound reflection, not only for the astronauts on Mars but also for the millions watching back on Earth. Oprah Winfrey's documentary series, which had followed every step of the journey, concluded with a powerful episode that brought together all the threads of the story, human, scientific, and philosophical, into a meaningful, hopeful message about love, sacrifice, and the future of humanity. As the astronauts prepared to send their first messages home from the Martian surface, the camera focused on Captain Sarah Lawson, the mission commander, whose personal journey mirrored the story's larger themes. Once a bright-eyed scientist driven by ambition, Sarah had grown through hardship into a leader defined by empathy, strength, and wisdom. Her reflections on sacrifice, leaving behind family and the familiar world, resonated deeply with viewers. "We went to Mars not just to explore a planet but to discover what we're capable of," she said. "It's about love, love for our planet, for each other, and for the future." On Earth, Oprah stood before her audience, closing the documentary with her signature warmth and candor. She recounted her initial skepticism of Elon Musk's vision but confessed that witnessing the journey had transformed her perspective. "Sometimes, life surprises us," she said softly. "We learn that hope can be stronger than fear, that dreams can be more powerful than doubt." The story's resolution emphasized the lessons learned along the way. The mission was not perfect, there were losses, pain, and questions still unanswered, but it was a testament to human resilience and the willingness to embrace the unknown. Oprah highlighted the importance of family and community, showing clips of the astronauts' loved ones who had supported them through the darkest moments. These moments reminded viewers that every great endeavor is rooted in connection and sacrifice. Elon Musk's role in this final chapter was equally complex. His reaction to the mission's successes and failures revealed a man changed by experience. No longer just the ambitious entrepreneur, Elon showed vulnerability and humility. In a heartfelt interview, he spoke about the price of chasing big dreams and the importance of balancing vision with responsibility. "It's not just about technology or science," he said. "It's about people, their hopes, their fears, their courage. That's what truly drives progress." The story also reflected on the cultural impact of the mission. It had sparked new interest in science, space, and the future among Americans of all ages. Schools reported a surge in students studying STEM fields, inspired by the astronauts' bravery and the boldness of exploration. Communities organized events celebrating human achievement, reminding the nation that progress often requires risk and collective effort. Throughout the narrative, the setting remained vivid and cinematic, from the quiet, star-filled nights on Mars to the bustling cities on Earth illuminated by the glow of shared hope. The contrast between the cold Martian landscape and the warmth of human connection underscored the story's central message: no matter how far we travel, love and sacrifice will always lead the way. Oprah's closing words invited the audience to reflect on their own lives and dreams. "What is it that pushes you forward when things get tough?" she asked. For me, it's the belief that every ending is a new beginning, that life is full of surprises, but love will always guide us home. The final scenes showed the astronauts looking back at Earth, a tiny blue dot in the vast blackness, reminding viewers of the fragile beauty of their home planet and the shared responsibility to protect it. The story concluded with a shocking punchline that left the audience speechless. The mission had discovered evidence of ancient microbial life beneath the Martian surface. This revelation, unexpected and profound, transformed the mission from a technological achievement to a moment of existential significance. It raised new questions about life, the universe, and humanity's place within it. The documentary ended on this note of wonder and possibility, leaving viewers inspired and contemplative. The resolution and reflection brought the story full circle, from Oprah's initial mockery to a deeper understanding of the courage, complexity, and hope that define human exploration. It celebrated the growth of its characters, especially the women who had learned powerful lessons about love, family, and sacrifice. The story was not just about Mars. It was about the journey of the human spirit, forever reaching for the stars while grounded in connection and compassion. This chapter's strong emotional resonance and vivid storytelling made it a fitting conclusion, offering a life lesson that stayed with the audience long after the credits rolled. It reminded everyone that even in the face of uncertainty and hardship, hope and love remain our greatest guides. The mission to Mars was a new beginning, for science, for humanity, and for the story that Oprah and Elon had shared with the world. The final message was clear and unforgettable. Life's greatest adventures are not just about destinations but about the courage to pursue them, the sacrifices made along the way, and the love that sustains us through it all. What if you suddenly lost everything? What if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side? This question echoed in the minds of millions as the world grappled with the fallout from the Mars mission, its triumphs, its tragedies, and the unforeseen consequences rippling far beyond space exploration. Oprah Winfrey, always attuned to the human story beneath the headlines, opened her new special episode with this haunting question. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from, she urged viewers. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? The episode began with a stark contrast, the shining glory of the Mars mission's success and the personal losses endured behind the scenes. As the cameras panned across the faces of astronauts, engineers, and families, the question of loss took on new meaning. For some, it was the loss of loved ones. Astronauts who had perished or been injured, families torn apart by distance and fear. For others, it was the loss of dreams or the stability they had known before the mission upended their lives. The story opened with a poignant scene of Claire Miller, an engineer who had dedicated years to the Starship project. Claire's quiet determination masked a deep grief. Her husband, also part of the mission team, had suffered a fatal accident during a test flight. Alone now, Claire struggled to find purpose amid the void left behind. Oprah's narration invited viewers to imagine themselves in Claire's shoes, confronting loss while holding on to hope. The narrative then shifted to John Ramirez, one of the astronaut candidates who had been disqualified due to a sudden health issue. John's dream of traveling to Mars had been shattered, leaving him adrift and searching for meaning. His story became a lens to explore how failure and disappointment can reshape a person's identity. Throughout the chapter, the storytelling wove together moments of vulnerability and resilience. Detailed descriptions painted scenes of quiet homes filled with memories, bustling mission control rooms where every beep held weight, and the vast, cold expanse of space that seemed to mirror the characters' emotional isolation. Oprah's voice was a steady presence, guiding viewers through a journey that was as much about inner transformation as outer adventure. The emotional tone was intense yet hopeful. The characters' struggles were raw and relatable, but every hardship was balanced by glimpses of strength and moments of connection. For example, Claire found solace in a support group of colleagues who had also experienced loss, while John began volunteering with young students inspired by the mission, channeling his pain into purpose. This climax, hope, climax rhythm kept the narrative dynamic and engaging. Just as despair threatened to overwhelm, hope emerged in unexpected ways, only to be tested again by new challenges. The chapter also introduced new conflicts simmering beneath the surface, tensions between mission leaders over safety protocols, public debates about the cost and ethics of space exploration, and personal betrayals that complicated already fragile relationships. Oprah's interviews with insiders revealed the pressures and compromises that often accompany groundbreaking projects, adding layers of complexity to the story. Throughout this opening chapter, the audience was drawn into a rich tapestry of human experience, set against the backdrop of one of humanity's greatest ventures. The juxtaposition of personal loss and cosmic ambition created a compelling tension, inviting viewers to reflect on their own lives and the forces that pushed them forward. The chapter ended on a poignant note, with Oprah addressing the audience directly: "No matter what you've lost, or how alone you may feel, there is always something, someone, that gives you the strength to keep moving. What's your something? Share it with us." This invitation turned the story from a passive viewing experience into an active dialogue, connecting the audience to the narrative and to each other. The vivid, emotional storytelling style, showing rather than telling, made the characters' feelings tangible. Instead of simply stating Claire's grief, the story described how she would trace her husband's initials on a worn photograph, how her hands trembled during quiet moments, how the silence of her home felt heavier than the hum of mission control. The setting was cinematic, the contrast between the cold steel of the starship's hangar and the warmth of family kitchens, the blinding glare of Mars's sun against the shadowed faces of astronauts. The flickering screens broadcasting live updates to anxious viewers. This chapter laid a foundation for the entire story arc. It framed the mission not just as a technological or scientific achievement, but as a deeply human saga of loss, hope, conflict, and resilience. By opening with a universal question about loss and pushing forward, it invited the American audience to see themselves in the story, to find their own courage and inspiration in the face of adversity. The storytelling promised a journey of transformation, with unexpected twists and emotional depth, setting the stage for the chapters to come. This chapter's success lay in its ability to hook the audience from the first sentence, create empathy through rich backstory and vivid description, and establish a tone of tension balanced by hope, a formula that would sustain the narrative's momentum for the next 19 chapters. It was a reminder that every great story begins with a question, and every question holds the potential for a new beginning. The heart of this story lies in its characters, especially Claire Miller and John Ramirez, whose pasts and inner worlds shape everything that unfolds. To truly understand their motivations and the emotional stakes, it's essential to delve into their histories, into the moments that forged their identities and fueled their dreams. Claire Miller grew up in a small town in Ohio, the daughter of a schoolteacher and a factory worker. From an early age, Claire displayed an insatiable curiosity about how things worked, spending hours dismantling old radios and piecing together model rockets. Her childhood was marked by the steady rhythm of modest Midwestern life, yet beneath the surface, there was a hunger for something greater, a desire to reach beyond the familiar and touch the stars. Her parents supported her ambitions, encouraging her to pursue science and engineering despite the obstacles facing young women in a male-dominated field. Claire's teenage years were a mix of academic excellence and social isolation. She was often the only girl in advanced math and physics classes, and while some classmates admired her intelligence, others teased her for being different. Those early experiences planted seeds of resilience and determination. She learned to rely on her own strength, even as she yearned for connection. After earning a scholarship to a prestigious university, Claire thrived in the rigorous environment, making friends among fellow engineers but always pushing herself harder. It was during graduate school that she met David, a fellow engineer whose passion for space exploration matched hers. Their relationship was one of deep affection and shared purpose, a partnership forged in late-night study sessions and dreams of building spacecraft. When Claire joined SpaceX, David was already part of the team, and together they became a dynamic duo, contributing to the development of the Starship. Their professional collaboration deepened their bond, and the prospect of traveling to Mars seemed within reach. Yet tragedy struck during a test flight when an unexpected failure led to David's death. Claire's world shattered. The loss was more than personal, it was a blow to her sense of purpose. Grief threatened to consume her, but she found solace in continuing the mission they had both believed in. Her emotional scars were hidden beneath a veneer of professionalism, but the cameras and interviews later revealed the weight she carried. John Ramirez's backstory was different but equally compelling. Born and raised in Los Angeles, John was the son of immigrant parents who worked tirelessly to provide him opportunities they never had. From a young age, John dreamed of becoming an astronaut. He idolized the heroes of the Apollo missions and spent countless hours reading about space exploration. Unlike Claire's quiet determination, John's journey was marked by boundless enthusiasm and an extroverted personality that won him many friends. He excelled in athletics and academics, eventually earning a place at the U.S. Air Force Academy. His training was grueling but invigorating, and he quickly stood out for his leadership skills and technical expertise. However, John's dreams took a devastating turn when he was diagnosed with a heart condition that disqualified him from active astronaut training. The news was a crushing blow. Suddenly, the future he had envisioned was gone, replaced by uncertainty and a profound sense of loss. John struggled with feelings of failure and identity crisis, questioning his worth beyond the mission. His backstory illuminated the emotional complexity of those left behind, not physically on the mission but connected by dreams and aspirations. Both Claire and John carried the weight of sacrifice, loss, and resilience, representing different facets of the human cost of exploration. The story explored their family relationships as well. Claire's parents, initially proud and supportive, wrestled with the fear of losing their daughter to a dangerous mission. Their heartfelt conversations with Oprah revealed the tension between pride and anxiety that many families experience when their loved ones pursue risky dreams. John's relationship with his younger sister Maria was a source of strength. Maria's unwavering support and belief in John's potential helped him find new ways to contribute, such as mentoring young students and advocating for medical research. These relationships grounded the characters, showing that even in isolation or grief, connection endures. The backstory also touched on conflicts and emotional memories that shaped Claire and John. For Claire, the guilt of surviving while David died haunted her, a silent struggle that fueled her drive but also isolated her emotionally. For John, the bitterness of losing a dream and feeling sidelined by circumstances beyond his control was a recurring challenge. These inner conflicts added depth and realism, allowing the audience to empathize with the characters' imperfections and growth. The storytelling style emphasized showing emotions through actions and dialogue rather than exposition. For example, Claire's quiet moments of grief were portrayed through subtle gestures, a lingering touch on David's photo, a hesitation before entering the spacecraft, that spoke volumes. John's frustration and hope were revealed in his animated conversations with young students and his late-night phone calls with Maria. The chapter's pacing balanced introspection with moments of tension and warmth, weaving together past and present to build a rich emotional landscape. Vivid descriptions of settings, Claire's cluttered workshop filled with blueprints and tools, John's childhood home bustling with family energy, created immersive scenes that felt cinematic. The chapter laid the foundation for the conflicts and transformations to come, establishing characters who were flawed, relatable, and compelling. Their backstories provided the emotional anchor for the larger narrative, helping the audience understand why these individuals risked everything for a dream that was both inspiring and perilous. The chapter ended on a hopeful note, emphasizing the resilience of the human spirit. Despite loss and setback, Claire and John found ways to keep moving forward, fueled by love, memory, and the desire to make a difference. Oprah's closing narration invited viewers to reflect on their own pasts and what drives them through adversity. "We all carry stories of loss and hope," she said. "It's those stories that shape who we are and who we can become." This chapter deepened the story's emotional impact, ensuring that the journey ahead would be felt not just as an adventure in space but as a profound exploration of what it means to be human. Rising conflict. The mission that had once promised hope and unity began to reveal its fractures as tensions rose among the team and the world outside grew more divided. What started as a collective dream was now tangled with misunderstandings, betrayals, and conflicts that threatened to unravel everything. Claire Miller, still grappling with her grief and determination, found herself at the center of these storms. As the lead engineer, she faced pressure not only from technical challenges but also from political and personal clashes within the mission's leadership. One of the most explosive conflicts arose between Claire and the newly appointed mission director, Mark Dalton, a pragmatic but inflexible figure whose approach clashed with Claire's innovative style. Mark was obsessed with strict protocols and minimizing risks, while Claire pushed for bold testing and rapid iteration, convinced that only through experimentation could they succeed. Their disagreements spilled over into heated arguments during meetings, fracturing the team's cohesion. Meanwhile, public scrutiny intensified. News outlets questioned the mission's safety, the ethical implications of sending humans to such a hostile environment, and the astronomical costs amid pressing problems on Earth. Some critics accused Elon Musk of recklessness, branding the project a vanity venture that diverted resources from urgent social needs. This external pressure seeped into the team's morale, exacerbating doubts and fears. Claire found herself battling not only technical obstacles but also the weight of public opinion and the blame that came with every setback. Adding to the tension was John Ramirez's growing frustration. Though no longer eligible for the mission, John was deeply involved in support operations, coordinating communications between Earth and Mars. His heart condition left him sidelined from the main action, and he struggled with feelings of helplessness and bitterness. The strain took a toll on his relationships, including with his sister Maria, who urged him to find peace and purpose beyond the mission. John's inner conflict mirrored the external conflicts unfolding around him, between hope and despair, progress and peril. Betrayals soon surfaced, shaking the team's fragile trust. An anonymous leak revealed internal disagreements and safety concerns to the media, causing public outcry and government investigations. The leak's origin became a source of suspicion and paranoia. Claire faced accusations that her push for innovation endangered lives, while Mark's rigid stance was criticized for stifling creativity. Friendships frayed, alliances shifted, and the mission's future hung in the balance. Yet amid these rising conflicts, moments of hope emerged. When a critical system malfunction threatened the Starship's launch schedule, Claire's team rallied to find a solution, working around the clock to save the mission. John, despite his personal struggles, organized a support network for the astronauts' families, offering comfort and solidarity. These acts of resilience reminded everyone that even in the darkest times, unity and courage persisted. The climax, hope, climax pattern played out repeatedly. Just as despair loomed, whether in the form of political backlash, technical failure, or interpersonal strife, a breakthrough or act of kindness rekindled optimism. But the tension never fully dissipated, keeping the story dynamic and emotionally charged. Scenes were vividly described: the sterile, fluorescent-lit meeting rooms where voices rose in anger, the cramped, humming control centers where tension crackled with every beep, the quiet moments of reflection where Claire and John wrestled with their fears and hopes. The emotional stakes were high, and the narrative made the audience feel the pressure mounting with every passing day. This chapter also explored the psychological toll of the conflict. Claire's sleepless nights, haunted by memories of David and fears for the mission's success, revealed the burden of leadership. John's outbursts and moments of despair showed how closely hope and pain were intertwined. Oprah's interviews with experts in psychology and team dynamics provided insight into how high-stakes projects can both bring out the best and worst in people. The rising conflict set the stage for the dramatic turns to come, emphasizing that progress is rarely linear and that the cost of greatness can be personal as well as professional. The chapter closed with a cliffhanger, a sudden emergency alert during a critical test phase. The screen went dark, leaving the audience breathless and eager to know what would happen next. This tension, paired with the deepening emotional connections, ensured that viewers were fully invested in the unfolding saga. The story was no longer just about Mars or technology, it was about the human heart, its vulnerabilities, and its indomitable will to push forward against all odds. Climactic journey: the sudden emergency alert shattered the tense calm in mission control. Claire Miller's heart raced as alarms blared and screens flashed red warnings. Something had gone catastrophically wrong during a crucial test phase of the Starship's systems, and every second counted. This moment marked a turning point. A dramatic shift from the internal conflicts and mounting pressures to an urgent, life-or-death situation that would test the team's resilience and resolve like never before. The story now moved into a new chapter, a journey full of danger, discovery, and unforeseen challenges that would push Claire, John, and the entire crew to their limits. The scene was chaotic but vividly detailed, the humming consoles lit by the cold glow of monitors, engineers shouting instructions over the din of alarms, the metallic scent of the control room mingling with the palpable tension in the air. Claire stood at the center, her hands flying over controls, her mind racing through calculations and contingency plans. She felt the crushing weight of responsibility, not just for the mission, but for every life depending on their success. The emergency involved a critical failure in the propulsion system, threatening to delay or even abort the Mars launch. This failure was unexpected, an unforeseen flaw hidden deep within the complex machinery, and it demanded immediate attention. The team sprang into action, dividing tasks, analyzing data, and running simulations in real time. Claire led the technical troubleshooting with calm precision, drawing on every ounce of her expertise and experience. Meanwhile, John, stationed in communications, coordinated updates between Earth, the astronauts on standby, and families anxiously watching from home. His role took on new urgency as he relayed information and reassured those waiting for news. The narrative captured the emotional roller coaster of this climactic journey. Moments of desperation, when solutions seemed out of reach, were contrasted with breakthroughs, small victories that rekindled hope. The climax rhythm intensified as the team faced wave after wave of obstacles, from software glitches to hardware malfunctions, each threatening to derail the mission. The physical settings expanded beyond mission control. The story transported the audience to the Starship itself, gleaming and massive, poised on the launch pad under a darkening sky. Detailed descriptions brought the spacecraft to life. The labyrinth of corridors, the hum of life support systems, the tension among astronauts preparing for the unknown. The stark contrast between the technological marvel and the fragile human lives aboard heightened the drama. Emotional stakes soared as Claire confronted her own fears and memories. Flashbacks revealed her late-night sessions with David, their shared dreams of Mars, and the silent promise she made to carry their vision forward no matter the cost. These moments deepened her character's complexity, showing not only her technical brilliance but also her vulnerability and fierce determination. John's subplot intertwined seamlessly. Though grounded on Earth, his journey was equally harrowing. Battling frustration over his sideline status, John channeled his energy into leading crisis communications and rallying support networks. His relationship with Maria provided a lifeline, their conversations offering moments of comfort amid chaos. As the emergency unfolded, the story introduced new challenges, unexpected weather patterns threatening the launch window, a security breach that raised fears of sabotage, and a mysterious anomaly detected on Mars itself, hinting at risks previously unknown. These twists transformed the narrative from a straightforward mission into an adventure filled with suspense and intrigue. Throughout this climactic journey, the storytelling remained immersive and emotionally charged. The audience could feel the cold sweat on Claire's brow, hear the rapid heartbeat of the astronauts, and sense the tension vibrating through every transmission John managed. The pacing quickened, mirroring the urgency and stakes. Dialogue crackled with intensity, revealing character dynamics and testing loyalties. Oprah's narration provided context and reflection, weaving expert perspectives on space exploration, risk management, and human endurance. She emphasized the dual nature of such missions, bold leaps forward shadowed by profound uncertainties. The chapter also explored themes of sacrifice and hope. Characters faced impossible choices, weighing personal safety against collective dreams. Moments of despair gave way to solidarity, as the team rallied around shared purpose. The interplay between technology and humanity underscored the story's deeper message: that even in the face of advanced machines and cosmic ambitions, it is human courage and connection that ultimately drive progress. As the chapter reached its climax, Claire and John faced their greatest test. A critical repair had to be executed within minutes to prevent mission failure. The tension was palpable, every breath held captive by uncertainty. Then, through a combination of skill, teamwork, and sheer will, the repair succeeded. The starship's system stabilized, and the mission was back on track, but the cost had been high. The characters emerged changed, marked by the journey but stronger and more united. The chapter closed with a powerful image, Claire standing beneath the gleaming hull of the starship, looking up at the stars, her eyes filled with a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and unwavering resolve. John's voice echoed over a transmission, promising that the mission was far from over. This climactic journey set the stage for the emotional climax to come, propelling the story forward with momentum and depth. It was a vivid, dramatic passage that captured the essence of exploration, its dangers, its discoveries, and its enduring hope. Emotional climax. The tension that had been building throughout the mission finally reached a shattering peak as Claire Miller stood face to face with a truth she had long feared. The moment was more than a test of technical skill or leadership, it was a profound emotional reckoning that would change everything. It began shortly after the starship's systems were stabilized following the harrowing repair described in the last chapter. Just as relief was settling in, a new and unexpected crisis erupted. Data from the Mars orbiters revealed a sudden and dangerous atmospheric anomaly, violent dust storms far beyond anything predicted. This was not merely a technical problem but a threat to human life, a looming catastrophe that could jeopardize the very survival of the first human settlers. Claire's mind raced as she absorbed the news. The mission, once a beacon of hope and human achievement, now teetered on the edge of disaster. The emotional weight pressed on her shoulders like a physical burden, magnifying the grief she had already carried for years since David's death. The story captured her internal turmoil in vivid detail, the tremor in her hands, the tightness in her chest, the cold knot of fear that refused to loosen. Yet within this climax, moments of hope shone through. The mission team, despite exhaustion and fear, banded together with renewed determination. Engineers, scientists, and astronauts worked feverishly to develop contingency plans, calculating every possible scenario. The camaraderie and resilience reminded Claire, and the audience, that even in the darkest hours, human spirit endures. John Ramirez played a crucial role in this emotional climax. His efforts to coordinate communications and support for the families became a lifeline, bridging the physical distance between Earth and Mars. His conversations with Maria revealed his vulnerability and hope, a testament to the personal costs behind the grand mission. The story portrayed their connection with authenticity, showing how relationships provide strength amid crisis. The climax, hope, climax pattern was vividly embodied here. Just as despair threatened to overwhelm, a breakthrough in understanding the storm's behavior offered a glimmer of hope. Scientists proposed a daring plan to use the starship's shield technology to create a temporary protective barrier. This solution was risky and untested, but it sparked renewed optimism. However, the hope was tempered by the stark reality that the plan required precise execution under extreme conditions, leaving little margin for error. The emotional climax reached its zenith during a live broadcast where Claire addressed the world. Her voice carried the weight of responsibility and vulnerability. She spoke not only as a scientist and leader but as a human being who understood the stakes on a deeply personal level. The raw honesty in her words resonated widely, bridging divides and inspiring millions. Oprah, in her narration, highlighted the power of this moment, how truth and transparency can unite people in shared purpose. The chapter also explored the profound theme of sacrifice. Claire confronted the possibility that not everyone might survive the mission, a reality that tested her resolve and compassion. Flashbacks to her memories with David interwove with her present decisions, underscoring the emotional complexity of leadership in such extraordinary circumstances. The vivid descriptions of the Martian landscape under siege, the swirling dust clouds, the eerie silence punctuated by distant rumbles, immersed the audience in the precariousness of the situation. The astronauts' isolation and bravery were palpable, making their struggle deeply relatable despite the alien environment. Dialogue was charged with urgency and emotion. Claire's exchanges with Mark Dalton evolved from conflict to collaboration, illustrating character growth and the power of shared goals. John's reassuring words to Maria provided a tender counterpoint to the mission's tension. The story didn't shy away from portraying pain and fear, but balanced these with hope and courage. As the protective shield plan was put into motion, every second felt like a heartbeat. The audience was drawn into the moment, experiencing the exhilaration and terror alongside the characters. When the shield successfully activated, momentarily holding back the storm's fury, the relief was almost overwhelming. Yet the emotional climax was not simply about triumph. It was about the human cost, the sacrifices, the losses, the endurance required to pursue dreams that seem impossible. Claire's tears as she watched the shield hold were tears of exhaustion, gratitude, and a profound awareness of what lay ahead. The chapter closed with a haunting yet hopeful reflection. Claire, alone in a quiet moment, whispered a promise to David's memory, a vow to continue pushing forward, no matter the obstacles. The audience was left with a powerful sense of connection to the character's journey and a deep appreciation for the complexities of exploration, leadership, and love. Oprah's final words in the narration lingered, "In the face of the universe's vastness and uncertainty, it is our hearts that guide us." This is the story of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring light of hope. This emotional climax served as the story's heartbeat, the pivotal moment where technology met humanity, and where personal loss intertwined with collective aspiration. It set the stage for the resolution and reflection to come, promising a conclusion that would honor both the mission's achievements and the profound lessons learned. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Resolution and reflection. As the dust settled, both literally on the red surface of Mars and figuratively within the hearts of those involved in the mission, the story moved toward its profound resolution. Claire Miller, once overwhelmed by grief and doubt, now stood as a symbol of resilience and hope. The mission had faced near-catastrophic challenges, yet it survived, evolving into a testament not only to human ingenuity but to the enduring power of love, sacrifice, and unity. The narrative opened with vivid descriptions of the Mars colony's first steps toward permanence, solar panels gleaming under a hazy pink sky, greenhouses slowly filling with plants, astronauts moving with purpose amid the barren landscape. This setting was no longer just a backdrop for conflict but a living, breathing testament to what had been accomplished against staggering odds. Claire's transformation was at the center. The woman who once questioned everything now embraced a deeper understanding of herself and her mission. Her memories of David no longer haunted her as wounds but inspired her as a source of strength. She had learned that leadership was not about perfection or control but about vulnerability, empathy, and the willingness to carry others through the darkest moments. John Ramirez's arc reached a powerful conclusion as well. Though never stepping onto Mars himself, his role as communicator, supporter, and moral anchor had been indispensable. His reconciliation with Maria symbolized the healing of wounds caused by fear and uncertainty. Together, they embodied the idea that no mission is ever just technical, it is always deeply human. The resolution emphasized meaningful lessons drawn from the mission's experiences. Oprah's narration weaved these themes seamlessly, highlighting insights about love, family, sacrifice, and the human spirit's capacity to overcome. The story underscored that while technology opens doors to new worlds, it is human connection and courage that light the way forward. The chapter delved into philosophical reflections prompted by the mission's success and sacrifices. Claire pondered questions about what it truly meant to explore. Was it conquest or communion with the cosmos? Was the mission about escaping Earth's troubles or finding new ways to understand and heal? These meditations gave the story emotional depth and universal resonance. The writing style continued to evoke strong emotions, portraying Claire's quiet moments beneath the Martian stars where she felt both the vastness of space and the intimacy of human hope. The tension and hope that had defined the earlier chapters found peaceful balance here, suggesting that every ending is also a beginning. Unexpected twists added richness to the resolution. For instance, new scientific data from Mars hinted at possibilities for life-supporting environments far beyond what was initially imagined, opening the door to future missions and discoveries. The story suggested that the journey was ongoing, even as this chapter closed. Character development was clear and satisfying. Claire's growth from a grieving, conflicted engineer to a mature, compassionate leader was portrayed with subtlety and nuance. Mark Dalton's shift from rigid bureaucrat to collaborative partner highlighted the power of understanding and flexibility. John's emotional healing illustrated the importance of human relationships amid grand endeavors. Detailed descriptions enhanced the vividness of the story world, from the first blooms in Martian greenhouses to the comforting routines established by the astronauts. These details grounded the story's grand themes in tangible realities, making the resolution feel earned and believable. The concluding lines of the chapter were poignant and memorable. Claire, standing at a window overlooking the Martian horizon, spoke softly, "Life is full of surprises, but love will always lead the way." This sentence encapsulated the story's core message, resonating with readers and viewers alike. Oprah's final commentary invited the audience to reflect on their own journeys, asking what pushes them forward when faced with adversity. The story ended on a hopeful note, encouraging engagement and connection, just as it had at the beginning. This resolution and reflection chapter tied together the narrative threads with emotional clarity and philosophical insight. It honored the characters' struggles and triumphs, leaving the audience inspired and thoughtful. The mission to Mars was no longer just a story about space, it was a story about the human heart, forever reaching for the stars. New challenges and unexpected allies. Just as the Martian colony began to stabilize, offering a fragile sense of hope and achievement, new challenges emerged from unexpected quarters, forcing Claire Miller and her team to confront realities far more complex than technical obstacles or environmental hazards. The story shifted focus to the expanding scope of the mission, not only the survival of humans on Mars but the political, social, and ethical entanglements that followed. The colonists faced isolation not just from Earth but from each other, as diverging opinions and priorities created fractures within the small community. Claire found herself navigating a labyrinth of interpersonal conflicts and competing agendas that threatened the unity critical for their survival. Tensions surfaced around resource allocation, leadership decisions, and the long-term vision for Mars settlement. Some advocated for rapid expansion and terraforming ambitions, while others called for cautious, sustainable approaches. These debates were portrayed with rich dialogue and vivid characterization, showing how ideals clash when survival is at stake. Unexpectedly, new allies arrived in the form of scientists and diplomats from international space agencies who proposed collaboration rather than competition. Their arrival marked a turning point, introducing new perspectives, technologies, and political dynamics. Claire's initial skepticism gave way to cautious optimism as these allies brought vital expertise and much-needed support. The narrative described these newcomers with depth, highlighting cultural differences, shared aspirations, and the inevitable misunderstandings that accompany any alliance. The story maintained strong emotional currents, focusing on Claire's evolving role as a leader who must balance openness with vigilance. She grappled with trust issues rooted in past betrayals but recognized that cooperation was essential for the colony's future. Meanwhile, John Ramirez worked tirelessly to facilitate communication between Earth and Mars, fostering goodwill and transparency. The chapter detailed intense negotiations, moments of diplomacy, and the delicate dance of building consensus in a high-stakes environment. Scenes were rich with atmosphere, the tense, glass-walled conference rooms overlooking the Martian terrain, the quiet camaraderie formed over shared meals in the communal habitat, the breathtaking vistas that reminded everyone of the beauty and fragility of their new home. Through these moments, the story explored themes of unity and division, hope and fear, progress and preservation. The climax, hope, climax pattern persisted as conflicts flared but were met with breakthroughs. A major breakthrough came when an international research team discovered microbial life beneath the Martian surface, raising profound scientific and ethical questions. This discovery reignited debates about the colony's impact on Mars and humanity's responsibility to protect extraterrestrial ecosystems. Claire's internal conflict deepened, caught between her drive to push boundaries and her respect for life in all its forms. The emotional stakes were high as the team faced the possibility that their presence might irreversibly alter Mars, challenging their mission's core ideals. The chapter also revisited personal relationships, emphasizing how the ongoing stress shaped bonds among the colonists. Claire's friendship with astronaut Jenna Hayes became a pillar of support, offering moments of warmth and humor amid uncertainty. John and Maria's long-distance relationship evolved as they grappled with the strain of separation and the hope of reunion. The storytelling remained immersive, blending technical details with intimate human moments to create a balanced and compelling narrative. Oprah's narration continued to provide insightful commentary, connecting the fictional events to real-world issues in space exploration, international cooperation, and environmental ethics. She emphasized the lesson that exploration is not just about discovery but about responsibility and respect for the unknown. The chapter closed on a note of cautious optimism. Despite the new challenges and conflicts, the alliances formed on Mars hinted at a future where humanity might transcend earthly divisions to build a shared destiny among the stars. Claire, standing once again beneath the Martian sky, reflected on the journey ahead, uncertain, demanding, but full of promise. This chapter expanded the story's scope and depth, introducing new dimensions that enriched the narrative and prepared the audience for the continuing saga of human courage, complexity, and hope. The tipping point as the Martian colony entered its second year, the fragile balance that Claire Miller and her team had fought so hard to maintain began to show signs of strain. What started as isolated disagreements over resources and leadership soon escalated into deeper fractures that threatened to unravel everything they had built. The story's tension intensified as the community reached a tipping point, a moment where choices would determine the fate of the mission and the lives of everyone involved. Claire found herself confronting not only external pressures but also internal doubts and fears. The psychological toll of isolation, relentless challenges, and high stakes became impossible to ignore. She struggled to maintain her composure, often retreating to moments of solitude beneath the pale Martian sky to gather strength. The narrative captured her emotional turbulence through vivid descriptions, the cold sting of the thin atmosphere, the eerie silence broken only by the distant hum of machinery, and the heavy weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. Within the colony, factions formed, some advocating aggressive expansion and independence from Earth, others urging caution and greater reliance on international support. These divisions were not just ideological but deeply personal, as loyalties shifted and old friendships were tested. The story portrayed these conflicts with nuance, avoiding simple binaries and instead exploring the complexity of human motivations and fears. Claire's leadership was challenged by Mark Dalton, whose bureaucratic rigidity clashed with her more flexible, empathetic approach. Their confrontations were sharp and emotional, highlighting the difficult balance between authority and collaboration in crisis management. Meanwhile, John Ramirez faced his own battles back on Earth. The public's enthusiasm for the Mars mission waned amid economic and political turmoil, leading to funding cuts and increased scrutiny. John worked tirelessly to advocate for the mission, but the pressure wore on him, creating tension in his relationship with Maria. These parallel struggles deepened the narrative, emphasizing the interconnectedness of Earth and Mars. The chapter's pivotal moment came when a critical life support system malfunctioned, endangering the colony's oxygen supply. This technical crisis forced the colonists to put aside their differences and unite in urgent repair efforts. The detailed, suspenseful descriptions of their race against time, the flashing alarms, the precise teamwork, the emotional stakes, immersed the audience in the drama. The repair's success was a fragile victory, underscoring the mission's precarious nature. The climax structure was evident as despair gave way to hope, only to be tempered by the realization that many challenges remained. The discovery of the microbial life beneath Mars's surface continued to loom over the colony's decisions, fueling debates about ethics and environmental impact. The story's emotional core remained strong, with Claire's reflections on sacrifice and responsibility resonating deeply. The relationships among characters evolved amid the crisis. Claire's bond with Jenna Hayes grew stronger, providing a source of emotional support and shared resilience. John's communication with Maria became more strained but also more honest, revealing the human cost of ambition and distance. Oprah's narration linked the fictional events to broader themes of leadership under pressure, the psychological impacts of isolation, and the importance of community. She noted that tipping points are moments of transformation, where old patterns break down and new possibilities emerge. The chapter closed on an uncertain but determined note. Claire, standing in the colony's observation dome, gazed at the distant Earth, a blue marble suspended in the vastness of space. She knew the road ahead would be fraught with peril and sacrifice, but also that humanity's future might depend on their courage to persevere. This chapter deepened the story's emotional and thematic resonance, portraying the complexities of leadership, community, and survival at the edge of human experience. It set the stage for further developments, keeping the audience engaged and invested in the character's journey. Breaking points and new horizons. The pressure that had been mounting inside the Mars colony finally pushed everyone to their breaking points. Tensions, fears, and exhaustion coalesced into moments of confrontation, raw honesty, and unexpected breakthroughs. Claire Miller, whose leadership had been tested repeatedly, found herself at a crossroads where decisions would not only shape the colony's survival but redefine her understanding of what it meant to lead, love, and endure. The chapter opened with a gripping scene, a heated meeting in the colony's command center where voices raised over dwindling resources and conflicting visions. The atmosphere was thick with frustration and fatigue, every word carrying the weight of unspoken fears. Mark Dalton, representing Earth's space agency interests, pushed for stricter controls and cutbacks, while Claire advocated for flexibility and trust in the colony's autonomy. The clash between them symbolized larger tensions between bureaucracy and human adaptability. At the same time, personal relationships reached critical moments. Claire's friendship with Jenna Hayes was both a refuge and a mirror, revealing vulnerabilities they each tried to hide. In a quiet moment after the meeting, Jenna confronted Claire about the toll the mission was taking on her mental health, urging her to ask for help. This conversation was raw and intimate, showing the emotional depth of the characters and the importance of connection in extreme circumstances. Meanwhile, John Ramirez struggled with his role as the voice from Earth, caught between advocacy and helplessness. The public debate over the mission's cost and risks had grown fierce, fueling political backlash. John's efforts to communicate the colony's realities were met with both support and skepticism, adding to his sense of isolation. His relationship with Maria also faced strain, as distance and stress challenged their commitment. The story's tension was amplified by a new environmental threat, a sudden increase in solar radiation caused by a massive solar storm. The colony's protective systems were tested to their limits, forcing emergency protocols and evoking memories of past crises. The descriptions of the storm's eerie light and the anxious countdown to safety were vivid and immersive, drawing the audience into the moment's urgency. Yet amid the crises, moments of hope and innovation emerged. The international scientific teams collaborated on new shielding technologies, blending expertise and resources. Claire's leadership evolved as she learned to delegate and trust others, recognizing that survival depended on collective effort. This shift marked a significant turning point in her character development. The discovery of microbial life beneath Mars's surface, previously a source of ethical debate, became a catalyst for renewed purpose. Scientists proposed studying the organisms not as obstacles but as keys to understanding Mars's potential for life and habitability. This reframing inspired a fresh wave of enthusiasm and collaboration. Oprah's narration underscored the theme that breaking points often precede breakthroughs, and that embracing vulnerability can open new horizons. She connected the story's events to broader human experiences of crisis and transformation, encouraging the audience to reflect on their own lives. The chapter concluded with a powerful scene of Claire and John communicating across the vastness of space. Despite the distance and challenges, their shared commitment to the mission and to each other was palpable. Claire looked out over the Martian landscape, feeling a renewed sense of purpose and connection. This chapter balanced tension and hope, showing that even at breaking points, humanity's capacity for resilience and growth can illuminate new paths forward. It prepared the story for the coming chapters, where consequences and possibilities would unfold in unexpected ways. The unexpected turn just when the Mars colony seemed to have found a fragile rhythm amid chaos, the mission was jolted by an unexpected turn that threw everything into question. It began with a routine scan by the orbiters detecting strange energy signals emanating from a cavern deep beneath the Martian surface, near the microbial life site. Claire Miller and the international scientific teams were baffled yet intrigued. The signals were unlike anything previously recorded, a mysterious pulsing that suggested either a natural phenomenon or something far more extraordinary. The discovery reignited both hope and fear. The narrative captured Claire's internal conflict vividly, her scientific curiosity warred with caution, her ambition clashed with her responsibility to protect the colony and Mars itself. The story described her sleepless nights analyzing data and debating with experts, portraying the emotional weight of uncertainty. Meanwhile, the colony's atmosphere shifted as rumors spread, stirring anxiety among the settlers. Some feared the signals might indicate a threat, while others hoped for evidence of alien intelligence or untapped resources that could secure their future. This tension brought out the best and worst in people, fueling debates and deepening divisions. Claire's leadership was again tested as she tried to maintain calm and focus. She called an emergency meeting, emphasizing transparency and collective decision-making. The characters' diverse reactions were depicted with nuance, showing the complexity of human psychology under stress. The chapter also explored the ethical dilemmas raised by the discovery. Should they investigate the cavern, potentially risking contamination of a pristine environment? Or should they avoid interference, preserving Mars in its natural state? These questions sparked passionate discussions not only among the scientists but within the colony's broader community. Personal relationships were further strained by the crisis. Claire and John Ramirez communicated frequently, their conversations reflecting both professional urgency and deep personal connection. Maria's concern for John's well-being added emotional depth, reminding the audience of the human cost behind the headlines. The vivid descriptions of Mars. The rocky terrain, the cavern entrance shrouded in shadow, the alien silence, immersed the reader in the unfolding mystery. The story's tension rose steadily, building to a climactic decision point. A small team would descend into the cavern to investigate, despite the risks. Claire led the expedition, embodying both courage and caution. The descent was described with gripping detail, the narrow tunnels, the eerie glow of unknown minerals, the pulse of the signals growing stronger. The narrative painted a picture of exploration that was at once thrilling and fraught with danger. The climax revealed a startling truth: the signals were not alien technology but a natural, previously unknown geophysical phenomenon, a self-sustaining bioelectrical system created by the microbial life itself. This discovery was both a scientific breakthrough and a humbling reminder of nature's complexity. The emotional climax was Claire's profound realization that life, in all its forms, was more resilient and mysterious than anyone had imagined. Oprah's narration reflected on this moment as a metaphor for human exploration, how often the greatest discoveries challenge our expectations and deepen our wonder rather than provide easy answers. The chapter closed on a hopeful note, with the colony united in awe and renewed purpose. The unexpected turn had reshaped their mission, reminding everyone that the journey was not just about conquest but about learning, respect, and humility. Claire stood at the cavern's entrance, looking out over the vast Martian landscape, feeling both small and deeply connected to the universe. This chapter brought fresh energy and depth to the story, blending scientific intrigue with emotional resonance and setting the stage for new adventures and challenges ahead. The ripple effect: the revelation about Mars's bioelectrical system sent waves far beyond the colony itself, sparking ripples that transformed perceptions, politics, and personal lives in ways no one had anticipated. Back on Earth, the scientific community erupted in excitement, while governments and private entities scrambled to recalibrate their strategies. Claire Miller and her team found themselves at the center of a rapidly evolving dialogue about humanity's place in the cosmos and the responsibilities that come with discovery. The story opened with scenes of media frenzy and intense debates among policymakers. The mission's newfound significance brought fresh funding but also heightened scrutiny. International relations shifted as collaboration deepened and new alliances formed, united by the shared goal of exploring and preserving Mars. The political intrigue added layers of complexity, with characters like Mark Dalton navigating pressures from competing interests and agendas. Claire's leadership became more crucial and complicated, requiring diplomatic skill alongside scientific acumen. Within the colony, the ripple effect manifested in cultural shifts and renewed morale. The sense of being part of a historic mission reinvigorated the settlers, but also magnified fears about their vulnerability and the ethical implications of their actions. The narrative delved into these emotional undercurrents, portraying characters wrestling with pride, doubt, hope, and fear. Relationships deepened under the strain and inspiration of these changes. Claire and Jenna Hayes shared quiet moments reflecting on what it meant to be pioneers in a vast, unknown world. John Ramirez grappled with balancing public advocacy and personal exhaustion, his relationship with Maria evolving amid new realities. The story's emotional texture remained rich and authentic, capturing the complexity of human experience. The climax rhythm continued as challenges surfaced alongside breakthroughs. A technical malfunction threatened the colony's communication systems, imperiling Earth-Mars connection just as global interest peaked. The colonists' efforts to repair and upgrade the systems showcased teamwork, ingenuity, and the ever-present risk of isolation. Simultaneously, debates over the colony's environmental impact grew more intense. Advocacy groups on Earth called for stringent protections of Martian ecosystems, while some investors pressed for accelerated resource extraction. Claire found herself mediating these conflicts, advocating for balance and long-term stewardship. The story used these tensions to explore broader themes of sustainability, responsibility, and the moral dimensions of exploration. Vivid descriptions brought these ideas to life, from the delicate bioluminescent glow of microbial mats in Martian caves to the stark beauty of the desert landscape. Oprah's narration connected these moments to universal lessons about humility, respect for nature, and the interconnectedness of all life. The chapter's emotional climax centered on a poignant event, a memorial service held on Mars to honor those lost in the mission's early tragedies, including David Thompson. The ceremony was intimate yet powerful, a moment of collective grief and resolve. Claire's speech moved the community, reinforcing themes of sacrifice and hope. The story portrayed this scene with sensitivity, capturing the weight of memory and the strength drawn from shared experience. The closing lines reflected on the ripple effect not just as a consequence of scientific discovery but as a metaphor for human influence, how each action sets off waves that shape the future in unpredictable ways. Claire stood watching the Martian dawn, aware that their journey had only just begun. This chapter expanded the narrative's scope and emotional depth, weaving together the personal and the political, the scientific and the spiritual, to create a compelling portrait of humanity at a crossroads. It prepared the ground for the story's final chapters, where resolution and transformation would come into sharper focus. Crossroads encouraged the Mars colony now stood at a critical crossroads, a juncture where the decisions made would not only define the future of the mission but also test the courage, values, and resilience of everyone involved. Claire Miller felt the immense weight of this moment as challenges multiplied and the path forward seemed uncertain yet full of possibility. The story opened with Claire reflecting on the journey so far, its triumphs, failures, and the fragile hope that kept them moving. Her internal dialogue revealed the evolving woman beneath the leader's exterior, weary yet determined, vulnerable yet strong. The colony faced several pressing dilemmas, balancing expansion with conservation, fostering unity amid growing diversity, and reconciling personal ambitions with collective needs. These challenges brought simmering tensions to the surface, forcing difficult conversations and choices. A key conflict emerged around a proposal to begin limited terraforming efforts using new technology developed with Earth's collaboration. The debate was fierce, with advocates citing survival imperatives and skeptics warning of unforeseen consequences. Claire facilitated the dialogue with empathy and firmness, aiming to unite rather than divide. The narrative portrayed these debates with rich detail and emotional nuance, showing the clash of ideals and the deep bonds that both strained and sustained the community. Meanwhile, relationships reached pivotal moments. Claire's friendship with Jenna Hayes deepened into a tentative romance, their shared experiences forging a rare sanctuary amid uncertainty. John Ramirez returned to Earth briefly, confronting the political and media storm around the mission, while his relationship with Maria evolved with renewed honesty and hope. The story wove these personal arcs seamlessly with broader themes, highlighting how love and connection sustain humanity in the harshest environments. Unexpectedly, a crisis emerged when a meteor shower damaged critical infrastructure, forcing the colonists into emergency repairs and testing their limits. The vivid descriptions of the shower's fiery streaks against the Martian sky and the tense, coordinated response underscored the dangers of their existence and the strength of their teamwork. This event served as both a climax and a catalyst, prompting reflection on vulnerability and resilience. Oprah's narration framed these moments as universal challenges, reminding the audience that courage is not the absence of fear but the choice to act despite it. The chapter's emotional core was Claire's personal reckoning with leadership. She recognized that courage involved not only facing external threats but also embracing vulnerability, admitting mistakes, and trusting others. This insight marked a profound transformation, adding depth and authenticity to her character. The closing scene was a gathering at the colony's central dome, where Claire addressed the community with renewed vision and resolve. Her speech combined acknowledgement of past hardships with a call for unity and boldness in facing the unknown. The atmosphere was charged with emotion, hope, and determination. The chapter closed on a hopeful yet realistic note, emphasizing that the path ahead was uncertain but that humanity's spirit of exploration and connection would guide them. This chapter deepened the story's exploration of leadership, human connection, and the meaning of courage. It prepared the narrative for its approaching resolution, promising profound insights and emotional payoff. The turning point: the Mars colony, battered but unbroken, reached what would become the story's defining turning point, a moment when the collective choices of its inhabitants shaped the trajectory of their future in profound and irreversible ways. Claire Miller stood at the forefront of this transformation, her leadership forged in fire, her vision clearer but more complex than ever. The chapter opened with a palpable sense of urgency. Supplies were dwindling, tensions simmered beneath the surface, and external pressures from Earth intensified as political factions debated the mission's worth. Yet, amid these challenges, a groundbreaking technological breakthrough offered a glimmer of hope, a newly developed bioregenerative system designed to accelerate terraforming while preserving Mars's delicate ecosystems. The announcement electrified the colony, sparking intense debate about the risks and rewards. Claire convened a council meeting that became the story's emotional and thematic centerpiece. Voices rose and fell, passions ignited, fears laid bare. Advocates for immediate implementation argued survival depended on bold action, opponents warned against hubris and unintended consequences. The narrative captured this clash with vivid dialogue and internal reflections, illuminating the complexity of ethical decision-making in unprecedented circumstances. Claire's role was pivotal. She listened deeply, weighed arguments carefully, and ultimately proposed a compromise, a phased approach combining cautious experimentation with rigorous monitoring. This balanced strategy reflected her growth as a leader, pragmatic, inclusive, and visionary. The story detailed the meticulous planning and preparation for the first phase, highlighting teamwork, innovation, and the community's collective commitment. Parallel to the technical and political drama, personal stories unfolded with equal intensity. Claire's relationship with Jenna Hayes blossomed into a partnership of mutual support and understanding, their bond symbolizing hope and humanity's enduring need for connection. John Ramirez returned to Mars briefly, bringing renewed encouragement from Earth and deepening the emotional ties that anchored the mission. The chapter's tension reached a peak with the launch of the terraforming system. The community gathered under the dome, watching as the technology was activated. The vivid descriptions of the first signs of atmospheric change, the faint blush of oxygen, the subtle shift in soil chemistry, captured a sense of wonder and possibility. Yet, the narrative did not shy away from uncertainty. Complications arose quickly. Unexpected chemical reactions, equipment malfunctions, and the psychological strain on the colonists. The story maintained its climax, hope, climax, rhythm as setbacks were met with resilience and ingenuity. Oprah's narration emphasized the profound human capacity to adapt and persevere, linking the colony's experience to universal themes of trial and transformation. The emotional climax centered on Claire's moment of doubt and renewal. Alone beneath the stars, she grappled with fear and hope, remembering the sacrifices that had brought them here and the unknowns ahead. This intimate portrayal deepened her character's authenticity and drew the audience into her inner world. The chapter closed with a scene of quiet determination, the colony watching a fragile new dawn on Mars, aware that their actions today would echo through generations. This turning point marked the beginning of a new era, full of promise and challenge, encapsulating the story's central message about courage, responsibility, and the enduring human spirit. This chapter set the stage for the final resolution, delivering emotional impact and narrative momentum as the story approached its conclusion. Resolution and reflection. After years of hardship, hope, and transformation, the Mars colony entered a new chapter, one defined not just by survival but by profound growth, understanding, and connection. Claire Miller stood amid the stark beauty of the Martian landscape, feeling the weight of everything the mission had taught her and the promise that still shimmered on the horizon. The story opened with a panoramic view of the colony thriving against all odds. Habitats expanded, greenhouses flourished with life, and the faintly breathable atmosphere hinted at a future once unimaginable. The scientific breakthroughs, technological advances, and human courage that had brought this new reality to life were celebrated but tempered by the recognition of ongoing challenges. Claire's reflections revealed a woman transformed by experience, her leadership tempered by humility, her vision balanced by wisdom. The narrative wove in memories of loss and sacrifice, underscoring how deeply intertwined joy and grief had become in this journey. Relationships anchored the emotional core of the chapter. Claire and Jenna's partnership symbolized resilience and hope, a testament to the strength found in vulnerability and love. John Ramirez, now a liaison between Mars and Earth, embodied the ongoing bridge between worlds. Maria's support and wisdom offered grounding and grace. The story portrayed these connections with warmth and authenticity, inviting the audience to feel their significance. A pivotal moment came when the colony held a celebration to honor its pioneers and renew its commitment to exploration and stewardship. Speeches, music, and quiet moments of remembrance intertwined, creating a rich tapestry of human spirit and shared purpose. Claire's address was heartfelt and inspiring, acknowledging the past while casting a hopeful vision for the future. Oprah's narration framed these events with a profound message, that life's greatest journeys are those that teach us about love, sacrifice, and the unyielding drive to push beyond the known. The chapter also addressed the ethical reflections sparked by the mission. The settlers' respect for Mars's native life and environments had deepened, inspiring a philosophy of coexistence rather than conquest. This evolution in thought reflected broader shifts in humanity's relationship with nature and technology. Vivid descriptions of Martian sunsets, blooming habitats, and the quiet hum of scientific discovery painted a vivid, hopeful picture. The emotional climax centered on Claire's personal moment of peace and clarity, standing beneath the stars and acknowledging that the mission was not just about Mars but about humanity's capacity to grow, love, and endure. The closing lines echoed the story's opening question, "What if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side?" offering a powerful answer. Life is full of surprises, but love will always lead the way. This resolution brought the narrative full circle, leaving the audience with a meaningful lesson and a lasting sense of hope. The story ended not with finality but with an open door, inviting reflection on the boundless possibilities of the human spirit. This final chapter delivered a satisfying emotional payoff, tying together themes of courage, connection, and transformation, and ensuring the story's message would resonate long after the last word. New Horizons: The Mars Colony, having weathered storms of doubt, danger, and discovery, now stood on the brink of something new, an era defined not by mere survival but by bold expansion and a renewed sense of purpose. Claire Miller, now a seasoned leader shaped by the trials and triumphs of the mission, gazed out over the horizon with a mix of anticipation and cautious optimism. The opening scene captured the colony's transformation, sleek new habitats rising amidst the crimson dunes, advanced greenhouses bursting with greenery, and exploration vehicles preparing for expeditions beyond their original boundaries. This was not the fragile settlement that had arrived years before, but a burgeoning outpost of human ingenuity and spirit. The story explored Claire's reflections on what had been achieved and the vast unknown that still beckoned. Her thoughts revealed a blend of hope and humility, acknowledging that while they had come far, Mars remained a planet full of mysteries and challenges. The narrative described her morning routine, the quiet moments before dawn, the soft hum of the colony waking up, and the sense of shared purpose that connected every soul on Mars. Relationships continued to evolve, with Claire and Jenna's partnership serving as an anchor of warmth and support. Their conversations revealed deeper layers of trust and dreams for the future. John Ramirez, back from Earth, brought news of expanding cooperation between terrestrial nations, hinting at an unprecedented era of interplanetary diplomacy. The chapter delved into the practical and emotional dimensions of these developments. A key subplot involved the launch of new scientific missions aimed at exploring the Martian polar regions and underground water reserves, areas vital for the colony's sustainability and potential terraforming. The story vividly depicted the excitement and risk involved in these ventures, underscoring humanity's restless drive to explore. The community's reaction was a mix of exhilaration and anxiety, reflecting their hard-earned understanding of Mars's unpredictability. The narrative introduced new characters, scientists, engineers, and explorers, each bringing fresh perspectives and energy to the mission. Their interactions with the established team highlighted themes of mentorship, innovation, and the blending of experience with fresh ideas. The hope climax structure was evident as setbacks in the polar expedition, equipment failures and unexpected storms, threatened progress but were met with resilience and creative problem-solving. The emotional peaks captured the tension between human fragility and determination, making the reader feel deeply invested in the outcome. Oprah's narration framed these events within the broader human story, emphasizing that new horizons are not just geographic but personal and collective. The chapter also reflected on the ethical evolution of the colony's mission. Debates around resource use, environmental stewardship, and cultural respect for Mars's alien landscape underscored a growing philosophy of coexistence rather than domination. This shift echoed broader conversations on Earth about sustainability and responsibility. The chapter's emotional climax centered on Claire's moment of clarity during a solitary walk outside the colony dome. Standing beneath the immense Martian sky, she felt both the weight of history and the promise of the future. Her reflections touched on themes of legacy, courage, and the unending quest for knowledge and connection. The closing scene showed the colony gathered for a communal celebration marking the anniversary of their arrival. Music, laughter, and stories filled the air, bridging past struggles and future dreams. Claire's final thoughts left the audience with a sense of hope and possibility. New horizons await, shaped by the spirit of those willing to reach beyond the stars. This chapter expanded the story's scope beyond survival and immediate challenges, emphasizing growth, renewal, and the boundless potential of human endeavor. It provided a meaningful coda that honored the journey while inviting readers to imagine what lies ahead. New Horizons reminded us that every ending is a beginning, and the adventure continues. Legacy and beyond. As the Mars colony entered its next phase, the idea of legacy became more than just a concept, it became the very foundation on which the future was being built. Claire Miller, standing at the crossroads of the mission's history and destiny, understood that the actions and choices made today would echo far beyond her lifetime, influencing not only the colony but the entire course of humanity's journey into space. The story opened with Claire reflecting on the legacy of those who had come before, pioneers who had risked everything, those who had fallen, and the countless unnamed contributors on Earth and Mars whose dedication made this extraordinary endeavor possible. The memories of David Thompson and other lost comrades were alive in every corner of the colony, their sacrifices woven into the fabric of daily life. The narrative described a quiet morning ritual Claire had started, visiting a memorial garden within the colony dome, a serene space filled with native Martian rocks and earth plants, a symbol of connection between two worlds. This garden was a place of reflection and renewal, where residents found solace and inspiration. As the chapter progressed, Claire grappled with the responsibility of ensuring that the colony's growth remained true to its founding principles: respect for life, collaboration, and a commitment to peaceful exploration. The expanding population brought fresh challenges: governance, cultural integration, and the preservation of the fragile Martian environment. The story portrayed these issues with nuance, emphasizing the complexity of building a society from scratch on a distant planet. Relationships continued to evolve, with Claire's partnership with Jenna Hayes deepening into a shared vision for the future. Their conversations about family, identity, and purpose added emotional richness, reflecting the universal human quest for meaning. Meanwhile, John Ramirez spearheaded initiatives to strengthen ties with Earth, fostering global cooperation and educational exchanges that bridged planets. A significant subplot centered on the arrival of the first children born on Mars. Their birth was a historic milestone, symbolizing hope and continuity but also raising questions about health, education, and cultural identity in an alien environment. The story explored these themes with sensitivity, portraying the parents' hopes and fears, and the community's joy and responsibility. The climax rhythm was woven into the narrative through a crisis that tested the colony's unity, a sudden environmental anomaly. An unexpected dust storm that threatened critical systems and endangered lives. The colonists rallied, showcasing resilience, ingenuity, and the power of collective action. This event reinforced themes of vulnerability and strength, reminding readers that even as progress is made, Mars remains a harsh and unpredictable world. Oprah's narration framed the colony's journey as a metaphor for humanity's broader path, one of striving, learning, and evolving. The emotional climax came as Claire addressed a gathering commemorating the colony's 5th anniversary. Her speech was a powerful meditation on legacy, not just the physical structures or technological achievements but the values, relationships, and dreams that define human progress. She acknowledged the hardships and losses while celebrating the courage and love that sustained them. The chapter closed with Claire standing outside the dome under a vast Martian sky, feeling a profound connection to the past, present, and future. She looked up at the stars, aware that their journey was just one chapter in humanity's unfolding story. The final lines offered a hopeful and inspiring message, that legacy is not about leaving behind monuments, but about nurturing the spirit that enables future generations to reach farther, dream bigger, and care deeper. This chapter served as a fitting conclusion to the extended story, blending personal growth, societal evolution, and cosmic perspective. It honored the mission's journey while opening the door to infinite possibilities beyond Mars. Legacy and Beyond left the audience with a lasting sense of wonder, responsibility, and hope for the future of human exploration. New frontiers. The Mars colony had blossomed beyond anyone's expectations, evolving from a fragile outpost into a vibrant community with its own identity, challenges, and dreams. Claire Miller, now widely regarded as one of the pioneering leaders of humanity's interplanetary adventure, faced the exciting yet daunting prospect of pushing beyond the boundaries of the red planet itself. The opening scene painted a sweeping vista. The colony's latest expansion was underway, robotic drones mapping nearby caverns and scouting potential new habitats while a new fleet of exploration vehicles prepared for journeys into the Martian wilderness. The air buzzed with anticipation and a hint of apprehension. Claire's mind raced with the possibilities and risks of venturing into uncharted territory, underground caves rumored to harbor frozen water and maybe even microbial life, valleys shadowed by towering cliffs, and vast plains where no human had set foot. The story delved into her reflections on humanity's insatiable drive to explore, to push beyond known horizons even when danger loomed large. She recalled the early days of the mission, the mistakes and triumphs that had shaped her resolve. Relationships continued to deepen and evolve. Claire and Jenna shared quiet moments amid the chaos, their bond strengthened by shared challenges and dreams of building a future on this alien world. John Ramirez returned from Earth with new directives that highlighted increasing international collaboration, signaling that Mars was becoming a beacon of unity rather than competition. The narrative introduced a new generation of explorers, young, brilliant, and eager to make their mark. Their enthusiasm and fresh perspectives brought a dynamic energy to the colony, though it also sparked generational tensions and debates about tradition versus innovation. The core conflict of the chapter centered on a bold proposal to establish the first subterranean settlement within the vast Martian cave systems. Advocates touted the cave's protection from radiation and harsh weather, while skeptics warned about unknown dangers and technical hurdles. The community's debates were portrayed with vivid dialogue and emotional intensity, capturing the clash of hopes, fears, and philosophies. Claire found herself navigating this delicate balance, striving to honor the pioneer's pioneering spirit while safeguarding the community's hard-won stability. The climax rhythm unfolded as the initial cave exploration mission faced setbacks, equipment malfunctions, communication blackouts, and unexpected geological activity threatened to derail the project. Yet, moments of hope emerged through teamwork, innovation, and sheer determination. Vivid descriptions of the explorers' harrowing descent into shadowy tunnels, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, and the eerie silence punctuated by distant echoes created a cinematic experience. Oprah's narration wove a powerful message about courage in the face of the unknown and the importance of embracing both uncertainty and possibility. The emotional climax centered on Claire's personal journey, her moment of doubt amid the darkness and her renewed commitment to lead with empathy and vision. She understood that true leadership meant listening, adapting, and inspiring others to face the frontier together. The chapter closed on a note of cautious optimism as the colony celebrated the first successful subterranean exploration, a step toward the future yet filled with promise and mystery. New Frontiers expanded the story's thematic scope by exploring humanity's relationship with unknown worlds and the spirit that drives exploration. It emphasized that progress often comes with risk but also with rewards that redefine what is possible. The chapter left readers eager for what lay ahead, continuing the saga of courage, connection, and discovery on Mars and beyond. The unknown beckons. The Martian colony, once a fragile glimmer of hope, now stood poised on the edge of the vast and uncharted, a testament to human tenacity and curiosity. Claire Miller, seasoned by countless trials and triumphs, felt the weight of leadership more keenly than ever as she prepared to guide her people into the next great adventure, exploring the mysterious underground caverns recently discovered beneath the planet's surface. The story opened with the colony abuzz with preparation. Scientists and engineers hurried to retrofit specialized exploration suits, design drones capable of navigating pitch-black tunnels, and devise communication systems that could penetrate the dense rock. The excitement was tempered by the awareness of real danger, unknown terrain, possible collapses, toxic gases, and the psychological toll of extended isolation in claustrophobic spaces. Claire's reflections painted a picture of resolve and caution. She remembered the early days on Mars when every step outside was fraught with risk and how far they'd come since then. Yet, the unknown beckoned, a call that tested the very essence of human curiosity and courage. Relationships remained a crucial thread in the narrative. Claire and Jenna shared quiet but profound moments of connection, balancing personal vulnerability with the demands of their leadership roles. John Ramirez, ever the diplomat, negotiated with Earth-based agencies to secure additional support, reminding all that Mars was becoming a shared chapter in humanity's history. The introduction of new explorers, scientists, geologists, and engineers, many younger and less experienced, added fresh energy but also underscored the challenge of maintaining cohesion amid rapid growth. The chapter's central conflict revolved around the first manned expedition into the cavern systems. The community was divided. Some saw this as the next giant leap in understanding Mars and securing the colony's future, while others feared it was a reckless gamble that could cost lives and resources. Tensions bubbled beneath the surface, with heated debates in council chambers and private conversations. Claire, tasked with making final decisions, grappled with the balance between ambition and caution. The story's climax, hope, climax, rhythm played out as the expedition team descended into the labyrinth. Early progress was promising, stunning geological formations and signs of ancient water deposits fueled excitement. Yet, disaster struck when a sudden tremor caused a partial collapse, trapping the team deeper in the caves. The colony held its breath, rallying rescue efforts amid fears that the explorers might be lost forever. Vivid descriptions conveyed the claustrophobia and desperation of the trapped team, their communication with mission control growing faint and sporadic. Hope flickered through the colonists as rescue teams braved the unstable tunnels. The tension peaked in a gripping, suspense-filled sequence where every minute counted. Oprah's narration highlighted the timeless human qualities of resilience, teamwork, and faith in the face of uncertainty. The emotional climax came when Claire, haunted by memories of past losses, confronted her deepest fears but found strength in the colony's unity and the explorers' courage. Her resolve became a beacon for all, symbolizing leadership born of empathy and determination. The rescue mission succeeded against the odds, bringing the trapped explorers back to safety, battered but alive. The chapter closed with the community united in relief and renewed commitment to exploration tempered by hard-earned wisdom. The narrative reflected on how the unknown, while dangerous, is also where humanity's greatest growth happens. The story ended on a hopeful note. The colony stood ready to continue its journey, aware that the unknown would always beckon, and that it was precisely this call that defined their destiny. The Unknown Beckons expanded the story's emotional and thematic depth, exploring the interplay of risk, hope, and human spirit on the frontier of discovery. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?